Hi guys, welcome back. This Wednesday, I'm sorry, I kind of was like reading the chat there, and then I noticed my timer was already kind of done timing. Good evening, welcome again, Pigment family, Pigment everyone. So how is everyone? Happy to see you again, Sebastian. That's good to hear. That's okay, Ryder. Welcome. There is some. There's something I want to do today that I haven't really done before, and there's not a lot of reference. So if there is any reference that you know of or that anyone knows, please do send it to me via email or Instagram. Sebastian, unfortunately, that is very true, and for some more than others. At least that's I speak for myself. But one of the reasons that Mark isn't already in the chat most of the times, he shared that with me, and I could share that with you as well, is because times are pretty tough, especially for a lot of people in the US. Obviously, everything is relative. There's countries and people that are in way trickier situations or more dangerous situations or non-comparable situations. Let me just put it like that. But Mark, this is like his morning time, and he wants to enjoy that just in peace. So no screen time for him as well in the morning. And it's just like it's quite early there, so that's one of the reasons he isn't joining. Yeah, because of everything that's going on lately. But I want to try to focus on the positives today. I read about a pigment, a color, a mix that was used in the Victorian age, in the Romantic period, where mixes were made to fit certain, I don't know, vibes. Lots of them were kind of dreamy, kind of, well, as I said, the romantic area. And the pigments available back then weren't very light fast, not all of them, at least. And I read about this pigment, Parme Brillant. And Parme Brillant is a lilac pinkish pastel color that was mixed and used for fashion illustrations and decorative arts. So you don't hear a lot of it. I never heard of it. I think it sounded kind of familiar, but quite sure when I kept looking into it, I really never heard of it. Couldn't find a picture because carmine was used, so it wasn't light fast. The pink part of it, the warm part of it, wasn't light fast. Gulchen, that's okay. Welcome. Parme Brillant, as I said, was a pinkish violets, pastel violets, and it was made using lead white, carmine, and ultramarine blue, synthetic ultramarine blue. It was the mid 1800s, so the early to mid. Synthetic ultramarine blue was already discovered. And today I actually want to try to recreate it. I try to kind of color fix a pigment image around me to kind of fit that vibe. I asked ChatGPT to make me an image, what it had to look like, because I really couldn't find any example. Let me just see if I can actually save that one. I didn't save that here, did I? Well prepared, Lawrence. Well prepared. There's the picture that ChatGPT made for me, and I'm just going to put that over here. In style. The weird thing is, I asked it to show me a swatch of what Parme Brillant looked like, and he gave me this from the Victorian age. Gulchen, I read about a pigment Parme Brillant, and it was a pigment used in during the Victorian age, but it wasn't light fast, so there's barely any visible reference of it available. I couldn't find anything online in any database, in any book, anything, because it was carmine was used for the warm part of the hue, the color. I will write it down. Why? Let's, okay, I don't know why that's happening. Oh, one moment, please. I need to. What the actual. One moment, please, guys. I don't know why, but I've lost my chat in the. Well, there. Yes. And why do I not find it still? Okay, that's not very convenient that this is happening. Can we check it again? Could someone send something? I can do it as well. It's not appearing there. That's awesome. Now it is. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Parme Brillant. So I had to go to ChatGPT and just ask, is there anything, since the searching engine there searches in places that finds weirdest stuff in the weirdest places, especially when you find looking for such a niche, narrow thing. Couldn't find anything there. There is a pigment named after it, but that's an earth, a kind of a pink. Yeah, it's a violet earth pigment, but violet earth pigments are always kind of dull. This is dull as well, but it's more pastel. It's more dreamy. That's like a earthy, more brown grayish kind of looking pigment. I do think I have that over here as well. That's named after it, which isn't really accurate when I looked into what it was used for and what kind of color, how it was described. So a lilac, a pink pastel lilac. That's basically the description. It was made with lead, carmine, ultramarine blue. So I have lead. I'm not going to use lead. I'm going to use a titanium white. But titanium white is slightly cooler than lead, slightly. So I'm going to add a little bit of buff titanium to get this harsh white out of it. Just a tiny bit of ultramarine blue and carmine, natural carmine. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly check if the chat is. I don't know why this is happening. There's been an update in the software I'm using for that, and I really am not sure why it's not working. I'm just not going to send a chat via that place. Okay, I'm just going to, I can send it here as well. A Parme Jasper. D. Arthur, welcome. Maybe it's from Parma, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to mix some things up, and just let's see what that gives us. If there's anything near a violet, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this yet. It's a little reference for me. Basically, no reference. Because since, let's give the base a little bit more body. The reference that I do have is made by AI using descriptions. Which lately works quite well for the AI. But yeah, so it is Parma, the location. Oh, I don't know what I said. Yeah, okay. Thanks for checking. So I'm going to do a kind of a not really a vote, but shall I make the white first and then add? Yeah, let's do that. I'm not just even going to vote it. I'm just going to make this. Shall I make a little bit of carmine, make a little bit of ultramarine, and just kind of add that when it's paint? Or shall I do it fully pigment based? What shall I do? For those of you whom I haven't said welcome to, welcome everyone. Happy to see everyone here, or at least a lot of you. Gifu, welcome. So, for those of you joining, I'm recreating a pigment. I have no idea of what it looks like. So this is going to be fun. So that buff titanium really, I don't know if that's really visible for you. Yeah, those are the amount of buff titanium I used, Sebastian. That's such a tiny bit. I can use a skill for that. I do have like a precision skill, but if I really want to recreate this in a way that I can offer it, I wouldn't use carmine as well. I would use something more light fast. If I want to recreate this in the authentic way and I want to offer it, I would use lead white as well. So basically I'm just making a mess of it right now. Safe white for live stream and an original pigment for the authenticity of it. I could make this a PV19 as well. I mean, it's still white for you, Gulchen. It's for me. It's a little bit warmer, just a tiny. It's just a tiny bit. It broke it down just a tiny bit. Enough for me to notice. I can imagine the camera really doesn't do that. Tiny piece of something that shouldn't be there. I don't know what that was. And how it was described, that it was ultramarine blue was used to add a slightly blue element to it. So take, you know, from that I take that it's not a lot of it was used. Also, I don't know if they used carmine, crushed up bug carmine, or the lake pigment. I'm using crushed up bug here. This is, I always really enjoy seeing this. Let me just see if I can get this to you as well. Can we focus? Can we just focus here? Yeah, we can focus here. Okay. Let me just get you to see this over here, where the carmine just touches the watercolor binder. It already starts kind of melting into it. Cochineal, yeah. So I'm just going to drop this in as well here on this side. Look what happens. How that color is forming is that's amazing. Ian, I think you sent me the video, right? On Instagram. Kind of reminds me of that. But seeing, just mixing it, seeing how pink this already is. I mean, there's so much color in carmine. To be honest, I haven't mixed natural carmine, so not the lake, but natural carmine like this. I haven't mixed a lot with this. I don't think I've ever mixed with this at all. So there's already kind of a little violet drop over there of the pigment that was already kind of spreading. I can't really see it. Looks like blood, doesn't it? Quite pink for blood, but in its mass zone like this. That is awesome. Okay, so ultramarine blue. Let's find myself a smaller palette knife for that as well. Is this small? No, it's not really small, but I need a more narrow one. Tiny one, that will do. It really quakes, wow. Quakes fitly, fades quickly. Seriously, my head is in front of the blue. There we go, that's better. Just a drop. I don't know, probably not enough. Let's make a little bit more. Or we can always, we don't have to add it all. Nothing wrong with a little bit more ultramarine blue on the slab. I will definitely make it dots out of what I make. Maybe I need it all, but for, you know, from whatever I'm left with, let's just use the tiny muller for this. I've chosen quite a vivid ultramarine blue as well, quite a light version. But a, dare I say, vintage one. And let's use this other muller that I forgot about the other day for this. Oh, it's so sticky. It's the natural stuff. It's all dehydrated bugs that stick to my slab and make it hard for me. Rehydrated. I said dehydrated, sorry. Rehydrated now. Kind of like half rehydrated. Rehydrate. Wow. Let me just not say it. Let me just say bug syrup. No, sorry. This stream is not vegan, by the way. Well, right you are calling it bug blood, especially looking at it like this. This pigment also smells a little bit. It smells like an old attic or something, I don't know. The smell of the pigment is quite noticeable during this phase. Scraping it off the slab like this, it creates a little bit of friction, a little bit of heat, And with that, the smell is released with some pigments. So ultramarine, it gives you a sulfurish smell, not the most pleasant one during this phase especially. Yeah, that buff titanium is just enough to make it a slightly warmer white. It's not beige, it's not cream or anything. It's taking the edge off that very cool titanium whitish look. I actually do like this. Okay, so now next, cheers. I have no idea what to do next. Am I just going to add things? I mean, I have enough of everything, so if I mess up, I can always add more white, or I don't think I need more red. Fat fill would welcome. So yeah. For those of you who joined a little bit later, I'm not making the Dutch flag here. I'm not making the American flag, especially. No, I'm sorry. I'm not making any flag. I am trying to recreate a forgotten color. Sounds like clickbait. And the name is Parme Brillant. Parme Brillant was used during the Victorian age for illustrations and decorative art. It was described as a pastel pinkish lilac. And lead white was used, carmine and ultramarine, synthetic ultramarine blue. I have synthetic ultramarine blue here, prepared just a bit. Natural carmine, not lake but pure carmine, crushed bugs. And not lead white, but titanium white mixed with a little bit of buff titanium to get that cool edge out of the titanium white. So, I'm just going to go over it. I'm just going to try and make it pink first. One drop. So glad I didn't do more drops. Oh my god, it's so pink. So last week I had a proud moment as a paint maker that's also a father. My daughters, they were talking about some things at school, and usually when it's about mixing and color things and anything, you know, it's for me the most important part is that it's not that. The most important part is that they have fun. They can use it as a creative outlet. That's for me the most important thing. But I do want them to know what magenta is, for instance, when we're not talking about pink. I wanted them to know that's something completely different than red. So yeah. Thank you, Rick. I agree with you, actually. It was just enough buff titanium that I added to recreate that lead look. So yeah, they were talking about colors. I don't know why exactly. I don't know in what kind of context, but they said, but you know, red doesn't really make pink, does it? So no, that's completely right. But what does? Then they had to think. Like, okay, they were. I saw them thinking about, you know, they're really into markers and color pencils at the moment, and doing that a brilliant job with that. But then one of them realized it was magenta, and then the other one, twins, added an example of it because we've used that before. So I was really proud of that. Like the realization of, okay, like red and white doesn't really make. Wow, that was just a drop of blue. This is yeah, perfect, I think. The realization came like, okay, we've tried red and white, and that was something different. Apricot, yeah, that's kind of, I think they used peach for it, but apricot is, yeah. Okay, so that was just one single drop, tiny drop of ultramarine blue. And just going to look at the example that ChatGPT gave us. Okay, so the slight pastelish tint is there, but we need a little bit more blue. Although I'm not quite sure how this will dry. So since there is, for those of you who entered a little bit later, since there is no real example of Parme Brillant and a good rum for Sylvie, cheers, I asked ChatGPT to give me a swatched example of Parme Brillant. Wait, I'm going to read that after I mix this. I think we can make it a little bit more vibrant. I think another drop of blue, but then another tiny drop of the red as well. But the how this was described as a very very pale pastel pinkish lilac. I do think this fits the description quite well, but it's definitely not this. This is definitely more violet, more lilac. Right, so I'm just going to break my iPad and no, I'm going to break it the other way around and just put this right over here. So we have some reference material visually here with us. Kind of. Mark, welcome. Thanks for joining. Good of you. Good to see you. Good of you. I'm really afraid I'm going to make that too much already, but we can do a little bit more of that. So that definitely needs more blue. Oh yes, that's okay. Are we getting somewhere? The issue with the generated image, though, that there's quite a transparency in that drawing, and there isn't in the white pigment used. Ian, welcome. I'm definitely going to make it too light if I'm going to add everything, but it needs some lightness still. So again, I'm just going to repeat this a few times. For those of you who like what I'm doing so far, please like this live stream. For those of you who've just entered, really quickly, I am recreating a... Very good, Mark. I'm recreating a lost and forgotten color, which was Parme Brillant. And we write that in this way. Parme Brillant. Let me just look over here. What am I doing? Oh, I can't look over there. Was that, is this correct? I think this is, let me, can I'm just pinning this at the top of the chat so it's clear for everyone. This was used in the 19th century, the early kind of before mid 1800s. To late 1800s, the Victorian age, where it was used for illustrations and decorative arts. But it was made using lead white, carmine, later even alizarin crimson, and synthetic ultramarine blue. Because of the use of carmine, it faded, obviously. And there's not like a lot of visual history of it. I want to say proof, but we know it existed because it was the pigment was mixed, it was made. But Parme Brillant was used for illustration. So with that, I asked ChatGPT to make me an illustration using this color. It made me an illustration. The prompt I used was give me a watercolor swatch of Parme Brillant, not as a pigment but used as paint. This is what it gave me. It's definitely not a swatch. A watercolor swatch of Parme Brillant in use. That's what I said. So maybe that's the, I don't know. This is what it gave me. A kind of Victorian style drawing. Basically, you know, the fashion illustration part is correct. Thank you, Sylvie. This exactly, Mark. A PW6 and a PW61 for a kind of recreating lead white, since I'm not going to use that for, you know, during the live. So well, they are getting quite good at it, Gulshen, right now. So yeah. PW4 instead. Yeah, I do like the as a substitute for lead. I think the opacity of, so I don't know, the look of titanium white just feels right. I don't know. So yeah, carmine, natural carmine, not carmine lake. It's not a lake pigment. This is the crushed up bug, and synthetic ultramarine. I'm not going to repeat myself a lot more often, especially since the chat is way quicker in answering questions than I am. I do like this actually. I just do looking at that. I think it needs a touch more blue. Just going off, you know, that would be accurate. I don't know if it is, but I think that dot of blue just worked brilliantly there. So it is swatch time, at least for now. What they did do, by the way, then, why didn't I leave a little bit of titanium white? My muller is still okay. Okay, let me just. sorry, Gulchen. Yeah, I know you have, and I'm really trying to incorporate into. No, I'm not trying. Let me just put it clearly. I'm not trying to use it more, but I'm thinking of it to use it more often. I was talking with my dad about his past and, you know, history, and he was telling stories about his past, and he was wondering about something in the late 50s, a voyage he did on a ship, and I said, you know, there wasn't a lot of it on the internet. So I said to him, just, you know, let's try ChatGPT. Just let's try to see what it comes up with. And just out of the blue, it came up with a passengers list out of the 1950s. So using it for like things like that's kind of brilliant as well. I added 2 drops, generous drops of red. I ended up with 4 tiny drops of blue. I added the 4th just now, or just, you know, before I finished that. So what I read, it was a tiny bit, the amount of red, but compared to the blue dots, I added those were a little bit bigger, but it was just a tiny bit. Absolutely right. Where's my paper? So what I read that they liked to do, I'm not sure that if that's true, because again, no visual reference, nothing to go for, but to enhance the dreaminess of it. Let me just get. Can I? Yeah, no, I can leave it there. What they like to do is make the whatever they wanted to make, fashion item, the dress, pre-wet that piece of paper. So that's what I'm doing right now, just for a swatch, trying to have a look where my water is. And then load that brush up with the lead white paint that we recreated. Then I need more brushes. One moment. one side of that white brush would be loaded with the pink pigment, and then a slightly small side of that other side of that brush would have blue pigment on it, and then the colors would mix on the paper to get a more vibrant and shiny like effect to the fabric. This is all from reading and not just now. I read that last week and I'm not even quite sure I'm doing it right. Okay, so let me just try to get all that brush is loaded with carmine already. Just a tiny bit of blue. And let's see what that does. I'm gonna try to swatch it. So that kind of mixing wet on wet on paper in brush mixing was used, and I'm not quite sure if it works for this or if I used too little blue. I think I used way too little blue looking at that. Okay, so that was a technique they used back then. Mark, I do not make cochineal. The paint, I can make it. I just it's there. I just made it. But I do have the pigment. I have the bugs as well. But I'm not making the pigment. I can make the paint, obviously. Obviously, I mean, I'm sorry. That came out of nowhere. Let's see what this looks like. That water added to the titanium white makes it like milky. And though this color looks more like the thing on my screen, the feel of this, the look of this feels more accurate. Oh, we need way more water. That's actually pretty close. That's actually pretty close. Let's make a wets in wets. Not bad about this. No, I like it. It looks like lavender paint. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think it kind of does. But I mean, that's pretty damn close. Looking, you know, just basing everything I'm doing right now on an AI generated image, I think with kind of using the right materials, getting as close as possible, kind of nailed this. Did I nail it? I like to think I did. Not saying it couldn't be done better. But could it though? I mean, joking. It's very fugitive, Mark. Yeah, I mean, happy to make some for you. Thank you, Sylvie. I am wondering now, just in my head, I think it is Mark. I think. I mean, basically, you have like an E number for it to be a food dye. It's called cochineal because after the bug. It's carmine for the color, so it's not kind of clear what's used for what exactly. And PR 176 is also basically is used for it. Oh. There is one thing though. I'm wondering about. Yes, there it is. Yeah, I bought this the other day, not sponsored, from Lutea. I think this is a lake pigment that they made. Carmine. Lac de Cochineal. And they sell different versions of carmine. I have more of it. I have more different versions of carmine. Let me just get, speaking of carmine, where is it? There it is. Pigment London. Not sponsored as well, but I do really like their products. Had a beautiful set of their carmine lakes. And I already thought these files were bigger when I bought it. It was quite expensive. And then I got these 4 tiny files. But it's an awesome product. I mean, the bugs itself, shaky. Then we have a beautiful kind of a manganese violet. This is a very pale pink and almost like an earth violet. These are all made out of this. Right, so, and I bought this Lutea pigment because it really doesn't look like anything here. This is way more red than this. But it's violet nonetheless. Let's make just a tiny bit of this. Sorry about the noise, but I just don't want to use it, way too much of it on this slab here. Just a tiny bit of pigment with a tiny dot of binder. With the tip of a palette knife. So this is definitely a lake pigment. This doesn't melt into the binder like the carmine did. And it mixes so much easier. It's not as sticky as well. I'm just describing what I feel right now. Feel and see, by the way. Oh, so this is definitely more violet than this. But making a lake out of this by using a liquids with different pH levels, you can kind of change the color a bit. I like this. I'm not even going to use a Muller, a Gulchen. This was just, you know, using the back of my palette knife like this, actually functions as my muller. Just want to see what that looks like next to this over here. 2 more brushes. Really lucky that I actually did prepare it today for my live stream, unlike last week where I really didn't. Okay, so let's see what the Carmine Lake looks like. So it's really a violet. Thank you, Mark. I'm really happy to see you again here. I just started the stream with you know, you not being here because of reasons. So I'm really happy that you found the energy to join us today. Bucksap. So that is so vibrant, and I can almost feel it disappear. It's really weird saying it like that, but I can almost feel it. I know how fugitive this is, and it's such a shame. If you would live like a few hundred years ago, and you would be picking bugs out of a cactus, dried them out in the sun, crushed them up, and mixed them with a gum arabic binder. I don't know how that came to be, how that happened. That's a weird string of events there. But anyway, that must have been such a wonderful moment of people discovering something like that, giving that much color, because it really it's the most vibrant thing here. Like, there's no doubt about this. This is the most vibrant thing on the page, and yeah, so that's my camera can't handle that much white. Yeah, I do have the page of Coronacurrents from last week here. Let's compare that with this, and it really looks like a PV19, to be honest. Especially, you know, this is wet, this is dried. And these are all, for those of you who haven't watched the live stream last week, PV19s mixed with a vintage phthalo blue. So yeah. Definitely just adding white to this, you would have gotten that as well. But, you know, seeing this dry up, you see that edge around it of the ultramarine blue. I do like that. Gives it a kind of a glow. Having like, yeah. Awesome. So the lake would be more permanent, more light fast. That crushed bug stuff wouldn't be, or actually isn't. Parme Violet. Parme Brilliant. I'm sorry, Parme Violet. I'm just looking at this. Parme Brilliant. Parme Brilliance. One generous dot of Parme Brilliance. How generous? Quite generous. I really need to change that white balance thing. Thanks for liking. Now Parme Brilliant, because, okay, just, you know, seeing like my slab right now, just ignore me being clumsy with this sticky paint, but seeing my slab at the moment and calling this Parme Brilliant with carmine screaming and ultramarine jumping around for attention, calling this a brilliant color is kind of, it just feels off, but I didn't make up the name. Wait, was this the violent? We need more dots. I do not have enough dots for this. I also put too much paint in this. Spilling over. No, don't spill over. They keep spilling. Don't do that. Don't, just stop that. Just ignore me for a minute. No. Okay. That dot was too generous. The lake bug pigment. So this is the lake bug paint. What you're talking about, right? You're sure about that because it's really close to any PV15 I have. But let's talk about that in privat, okay? So let's try to recreate the recreation of the forgotten color. Can we still do that, by the way? I don't have a lot of carmine anymore. I made a dots out of it. We can just undot it. Undot the paint. There we go. And then just some blue. That was too much red. Definitely too much red, but luckily we have white. And that's enough blue. That was too much blue. Or maybe not. Maybe I did quite a good job. Again. Oh, sorry. Oh no, broken a pellet knife. Yeah, I just feel it releasing. There you go. I didn't want that to happen when I was struggling with the paint. So also a good thing about making paint for a longer time already, you feel your pellet knife breaking in your hand before it happens. I can just feel the vibrations of the glue releasing in the wood while I'm using it. I just made that up. Still needs a little bit more white. No, did I ever do it with the blue? Or didn't I? No, wait. Let's scrape this all off. Slightly overdid it. I don't know if you used like a certain tonation saying that, Gulchan, but I heard your judgment there. I just it's like it's. I felt it even. What haven't you worked on, Ian? You are a fascinating person. It's already dry, isn't this? Yeah, it's already drying. Let me just put everything together, right? Yeah, you saw that absolutely right. But I am going to let this dry up a little bit because I think it's a little bit too wet for a dot right now. Oh, that dot overflowed so much. Oh, okay, never mind. Trying to save it later. So I'm live for an hour and 15 minutes already. And it feels like I just, started doing this 20 minutes ago. I'm not always sure if that's a good sign or not. I think it is. Sorry for slurping. Definitely, because that blue glow around that swatch becomes way more clear, and that pink kind of explosion in that white, in the wet on wet. Thinking that's just white and that hint of ultramarine blue. With this quite vibrant, coolish red. That's really fun to see that turning into a pink like that. I mean, it makes sense for us now, but looking back at, the history of colors, that would have been, I don't know. Melissa, welcome. Ian, you should tell about like your life in a stream, like an entire stream of. Although these kind of moments are quite fun and valuable, I think as well. So I think we've gotten as close as we can actually with the Parme Violet, Parme Brilliant. It still isn't brilliant for me. It's There's nothing brilliant about this. Imagine that being brilliant in a life. Maybe the word for me has a different meaning than it has for you. Maybe it has a different meaning now than it has then. Not quite sure about that, but this is definitely not brilliant. We would call this pastel. Teddy, welcome. How many people are here? It's like already people left, but there's already new people entering as well. How nice of you to join, everyone. Thanks for joining. So this is thickening up a little bit. Let's put this into dots as well. I really hate that dot is leaking. I don't like that. I can't change that really as well. You see it on camera. I actually hope my face was in front of it now, but it's not. I mean, I can move my face, but that camera isn't moving. That dot is just leaking. Let me just get some dot pens. And refill the stash I have over here. Sounds like Legos. I don't think there's anyone here wondering what is a dot pen, but this is a dot pen. Where's my camera? A pen. It's really hard doing it upside down because that camera is mirrored. A pen that fits into a pellet with just a cradle of a dot for paint dots. Dot. And overflowing, they look like this. I'm really going to, sorry, I'm just going to do it right now. Otherwise, I'm forgetting next stream as well. I'm going to hate that if I do. What am I going to do? Well, if my software lets me. Don't you dare to update right now. There we go. Let's move the camera a little bit down. And let's move that brightness down a bit as well. Why isn't the brightness going down? It's just doing something for us, not really in color, is it? Also don't like the fact that it's flickering. Is this any better? Okay, well let's just live with this, right? Well, this is a dot pen. Melissa. So it's a very small pen with a cradle-like shape to fit into a metal traveling palette. It's dirty blue on the bottom because it is my design, and a small mini micro pen for a dot to travel around with. Well, it gives quite generous dots, especially compared to the more like the commercial brands. When I compare it to, I'm still amazed by the dots of Daniel Smith, and that's just because I saw a dot card the other day again, and I was like, wow, okay, so this is me pouring a dot, right? You see me doing it, but I'm just going to do it a little bit more close up to the camera. This is me pouring a dot of paint. This is pouring. I'm pouring paints into my dot pen. It's more like a smear that they have. It's like a smear card with smears of paint. It's not dots. Definitely no dots. Maybe I can show it a little bit more clearly. Let me. Okay. Keep can we zoom out a little bit? Yes, we can. Put that dot in the middle over there, and I'm pouring. Why is my face there? Why is no one saying? I'm just pouring paint into my dot pad. And I'm not quite sure if I can find it. Probably not looking at this, but I will just give this one other look. Oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Just give this a little bit more space here. So this is sorry. That's a smear of paint. Oh, it touched the, especially that yellow. Can barely feel that. So yeah. Let me get back to chat. If I can find my mouse. Where's my mouse? Hello? Like where? Here's my mouse here. It's my mouse pad. I think the battery is... Ah, that explains a lot. Just going to read the chat here. No, it's for... I'm just leaving this here because I actually like that dot. For the for some brands especially, they give a very nice piece of watercolor paper with a dot on it. And basically the entire idea behind that is that you just wet that dot, spread it out over the paper so you have a mini swatch of the paint you can buy later on in a tube or a pen. So not even paint to paint with, not to try mixes or anything. Just, you know, just see another pan overflowing. Let's just witness another pan overflowing, right? I don't know why I did that. Maybe it thickens up and dries just in time. I'm quite afraid it doesn't. Yeah, I have to say I've seen worse dot cards of them. Creative Colors, welcome. So I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it again for those of you who have just joined us, the Pigment family here. I made a mess. That's it. Goodbye, guys. See you next week. No, just joking. Yeah, basically what Gulchen said. I made a Parme Brillant. Parme Brillant was a color used in the Victorian age, the Romantic period, for fashion illustrations and decorative arts. It was a mix of lead white, carmine, and synthetic ultramarine blue. no visual remains are left because of the carmine completely fading. But there have been descriptions of it, and a beautiful tiny muller with a marbling of paint that you could just enjoy seeing over here. That beautiful marbling of the titanium white. I recreated lead by using titanium white and buff titanium, just a tiny bit of buff titanium to get rid of that very bluish bright edge on the titanium white. I did use natural carmine, not the lake one, so the crushed bugs, and synthetic ultramarine blue, but a vintage one, which really doesn't matter at all, but I just like saying it. Since there was no visual reference of this color, I asked ChatGPT to give me a swatch of watercolor paint in use, and it gave me this as a reference. So I do notice that my iPad has gone on night mode, which does influence the color quite a bit, but I came quite close with that color over there. But you can't see that right now because I'm not going to change my screen. I'm not going to change the settings, just rewind the live stream. I'm sorry. Sentient, welcome. So yeah, I made natural carmine paint, and I did swatch that over there. Let's swatch this vintage ultramarine blue as well, shall we? All right, so yeah, sorry about that. No, the chat will be my witness here. This was very accurate with what we saw on the screen. But yeah, that was the only visual reference that I had was that image created by AI. Well, I just asked for a swatch of watercolor. It gave me a kind of Victorian style drawing in its right use as well. Based on that and the description that I have, you know, how it was mixed, the pigment, we ended up with this natural carmine, ultramarine blue, and a white that really looked like lead white. There's no difference chemically or visually in the ultramarine blue used or in any of my collection, ultramarine blue out of the 1830s that is in my collection, or ultramarine blue that I just bought yesterday. There really is the difference. It's just, I like saying it because it really doesn't make any sense. Like saying I have a vintage ochre or a vintage red earth pigment. Well, it's, you know, like probably millions of years old. Not as a pigment, but as red earth. It really doesn't make sense. And that's why I try to point that out by just using it for fun and lighting up this discussion to just poke through some people who use it or overuse the word vintage for just old stuff, like using a vintage pigment that was just bought secondhand, for instance. Yeah. I know of one, so I'm not going to do that. It's a competitor of mine, so I'm not going to do it. But using vintage in the wrong way it's just misleading. And we know of brands that can be really misleading when it comes to marketing. So just trying to light up that little fire. Lighting up even more fire with Creative Colors, who is sick and tired of vintage. The word vintage is, I think, the definition of the word vintage is overused. Or, it's, yeah, I don't know. Exactly, it's just marketing. It's... That's antique. That's a totally different thing, Ian. It's beyond vintage. Well, I have pigments that come from grapevine, so that's more like witch vintage. No, I know of one use of the word vintage where someone used that when they actually just bought old pigments. And I saw a second ad of the same seller selling that pigment. This was years ago already, I think, and I just couldn't help myself. I just okay, you know, I'm okay. This is old. This is probably like 70s, 80s, no 70s, I think. Looking at the packaging of that pigment. And I tried it. And it was terrible. It wasn't it should be a stable pigment, but that version of that pigment was so much worse. In any way, just not, it's not less color or less vibrant in any way. Mulling it, using it, mixing it, painting with it, the color, everything was just less quality. Like it was just like it was expired, not vintage, but it just expired. And I saw that person buying that exact same pigment, offering it as vintage. It was just garbage, not vintage. So yeah, that was my opinion. No, it wasn't even an opinion. It was a terrible, terrible version of what could be a really nice pigment, or what has been a really nice pigment. Yeah. Sentient, exactly. Well, that's already paint, right? So we think that buying pigments, or at least, you know, some people think that buying pigments has like no expiration date. Some definitely do, or just kind of degrade, just get less. You're 65. Based on your stories, I really... 65, that's not that old. Sometimes you tell stories to us, and yeah, it's like... it's like, no offense here, really, no offense, but it's like having our own like personal grandfather in our midst. But 65, that's not old at all. And just based on your stories, right? The army and the war and the all the things that you've experienced and seen, and yeah. Sorry about the grandfather part. It's not. Didn't mean it, no, it in a bad way. I'm half that age and I feel old already, so it's like, yeah. You don't know how old your father is, Gulchen. No, no judgment here. '65 is middle age. Am I going to feel older than I do feel now? Am I going to feel less old as I grow older? Or will it get worse? Or do I have to live like this for like even longer than now? These are serious life questions here, by the way. Just don't ignore them, please. Please. I'm going to feel the same as I feel now. Well, fantastic. That's just great. I need a moment for this. No, I've had my moment. Okay. I don't think I've had my moment. I'm just going to cry myself to sleep tonight, but I don't feel young right now. Sometimes my back feels like two kids have been jumping on it, which they have, but it keeps feeling like that. Even after my sleep. That was my neck. I don't know if you heard that crack, but I definitely felt it. Yeah, same cool chat. Well, sometimes last week, oh, there's a mosquito again. There's a mosquito. It's this time already. You shouldn't be alive already. I hate that. Last week on TikTok, I saw a video. You're really old, like really in like capital letters, if you remember these. And I like, well, that's only 10 years ago. It wasn't like 22 years when I looked it up, but so yeah, I'm really old in that case. And yet, Mark, I think you aged very fine for a vintage one. Well, let's keep it positive, creative colors. Let's not point out the obvious facts here, right? At least not like that. I need another drink. Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, that's I think I'm too I think I'm too old for that, right? Am I not? No. Yeah, I think I am. I mean, I think on the inside you mean your mind, right? Because my back hurts. my knee hurts on the inside. Like my shoulder has been a mess for months. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't mind aging on the outside. I mean, I like losing a little bit of weight when I want to. It takes a lot of effort now compared to 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, I didn't even think about those things. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. I heard it. Sorry, this is definitely not going to be a vegan stream apart from that. How can I kill it without destroying everything that stands there? But I'm literally looking at like a fattest mosquito I've seen this year because I haven't seen one before. I don't even know if I can focus on it. Can I focus on it? Yeah. I think it just stung me as well. What to do with it, what to do with it, what to do with it. Should we just try and to... Did I just... Let me just... Yes! They're not fast yet. It's not that warm. Victoire. I think, Mark, you are the more experienced one amongst us, yes. Catching a mosquito like that always feels better than using like one of those zappers. Although, when it like really makes a hard exploding sound, that's really satisfying with mosquitoes. She really should point out that this is not a vegan stream today. I don't know if it ever, but especially not today. Still, my battery is... What's working now? I don't think it will last long. We can go for another drink, and then it's stung me in my hand. I feel it starts itching. It starts itching here. Oh, I hate those creatures. I think if you're, you know what, no matter your age, and I found out quite a while ago already, kind of came to the realization, you shouldn't give a single fuck about what other people think of you. Just if like that is the essence of how you can, and just, you know, be happy with yourself. If you are happy with you, that also means that you're not worrying about what others might think. Right? And if you can combine those two, I think that's what a lot of people, especially because of social media, I think. But, you know, blaming that part of our society really makes me feel old. I do use it myself quite a lot, but if you just have that realization and can live by that, I think that's more than enough for most people. Like, and if you're not happy with who you are, like I said, no matter your age, change it for you. A lilac perfume. What kind of perfume, if I may ask? Good for you, Melissa. I'm not going to make more paint. It's almost 2 hours live, 1 hour and 45 minutes. Haven't heard about that, the author. Gulshan, don't forget, not only fillers, but filters as well. Just digital beauty. Or appearance. That is a vintage story, Mark. Oh, that's good. 1885. So he might have seen drawings of Parme Brillant in use. Back to the topic. We are pigment people here having a nice chat. Oh, you meant filters. Yeah, absolutely. I thought fillers, Botox and stuff like that, which would make sense as well. The only thing I'm just going to do, because I have like the colors in front of me here, and I'm just going to try. I'm not going to be successful at this at all, but I'm just going to try to recreate this color as if I were a Victorian alchemist trying to recreate something he just saw somewhere with pigment. Just pigment without wetting it. Crushed bugs. Oh, I really don't know how much I should use of this. That was too much. That was like a lump of it fell out of it. Okay, emergency. Awkward. Okay, can I? Shall we do this again? I have no idea what the angle is right now. I'll have a look on the. Where is it? Is it here? Is it somewhere? Oh, there we are. There we are. So okay, so I think we're good right now. Okay, so that's weird to see this angle. Okay, it's looking like at me here. A little bit more distance. Adding a little bit of binder. And as you can see, that carmine is directly kind of dissolving. I'm really fascinated by this part. Just to show you just a little bit more, drop of binder on the carmine over there, how it directly turns into a pink. It's kind of spreading. Ian, earlier in the live stream, I had a better example of this where I had a drop of binder and a little bit of carmine next to it, and it kind of entered that bubble, as like the video you sent me, I think. Thank you so much for joining us and the chat, Sylvie. Good luck tomorrow morning, I think. If you need to get up. And hopefully see you again soon. Are more people leaving? No, right? Okay, let me know if you're leaving. Have a great night, Sylvie. So, I'm going to mix this and see what we end up with. If it's anything close to whatever is in the back here. It's definitely not. Way too much caramel. That's what I thought. I shouldn't have spilled that. That's a beautiful pink. Definitely not enough blue as well. Because of that. So now we would basically be just mixing it again, but we have enough of it, so let's just get this extra carmine in it. Just see how it kind of dissolves and melts into the binder right now, melts into the paint. Blooms of... Thank you so much, Sylvie. You too. The blooms of red, like strawberry sauce. Yeah, but like more strawberry and cream. Definitely no pure strawberries here. Let's just... This is just not a dye. This is just plain crushed up bugs. Carmine is very potent, yes. Especially when you spill a little bit too much. So yeah, now I'm definitely not close to just eyeballing that with pigment. Though I think we can fix a lot of it when I'm just going to add the blue that's already on my slab. And with that, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots of Parme Brilliant. We recreated quite successfully, I think. But I think, you know, as a pink, this would, on the blue too, yeah, we're not going to use that anymore. This is not even that much anymore. But I think if we are going to make a swatch out of this, as a color, I'm not even going to use this, but as a color, I think this will fit quite nicely with... I think I'm going to call this Parme Brilliant Extra, because it just has too much of it. This is basically ultramarine pink. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So add the mosquito to the some natural human juice included into the mosquito. No, we basically made a mess again today, so that's good. And we are almost at the 2 hours, which isn't like a limit for me, not at all. I think my last stream, or at least a few streams back, it was 3 hours. But to be honest, I think this is a great end of the stream, a near end of the stream. Because you can't forget to like the stream if you haven't already. Just a friendly reminder. And I really need to replace my batteries because this isn't doing anything. I think my longest was actually longer. And I think I named that the longest stream ever. But I think I actually streamed for longer after that. We can just look that up. Can we actually? Type, beperking, datum, nee, filter. Zichtbaarheid ook niet. 2.5, 2.5, 2, almost 3, 2.5, 2.5, 2, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2.5, 2, 3.5. Okay. Another 3.5. I'll mix it with phthalo green in a minute. 4 and 14. Yeah, the longest ever. For me. 4 hours, 14 minutes. To be honest, my throat did hurt quite a lot after that. I didn't drink enough during the stream. Phthalo green. I'm just going to add pigment to it. I don't even. I'm too tired for looking for paint, and I can just stretch and find the pigment here. Which one? 36 or 7? I think you mean PG7, but I want to be for sure. Seven, okay. It's going to give us a blue, probably. Yep. let's do that real proper then, shall we? I see what you're talking about. Like I said, shall I do it real proper? I should have known that before, Ian. A tiny bit of green. Well, it's that this is more blue than a gray. It makes sense with phthalo green especially, and then I want to refer to my video where I make blue with PG7 and PV55. Because this was a more violet base, it also had blue in it. But I think Creative Colors is hinting to something I'm quite close at making right now. Yeah, I know. My studio explode within 20 seconds now. So I think that is about perfect. Looks good. Let's clean this brush and let's make a tiny swatch of carmine with PG7. So I don't want to accidentally mix any water in this. This is what Creative Colors was talking about. Ta-da! There is a slight gravitational difference in the pigment, and you can mull it or mix it whatever you want, but that red will be absorbed more quickly than the green. So there's a slight pinkish tone to that black. And it's not because I didn't mix it well, it's not because of the proportions. That's just how it is absorbed in the paper. And this is the gray you are talking about, which is clearly, oh, that's mixing with pink, which is clearly mixed with a white compared to that neutral above. So yeah, always fun to make neutral mixes. Well, this is slightly violent still for me, but that's probably because of the proportions, as you said. This is near perfect as a chromatic black. Still, carmine as a pure carmine. I think it's the wrong pigment to mix with that because of the absorbent quality of it. Looks very purpley. Yeah, I agree. Is there a pigment mix that will make a true neutral similar to single pigment spindle black? Well, if you have a Pyrrole Crimson, for instance, with a phthalo green and a hint of phthalo blue, just a tiny, I don't know. I want to say just a grain of it. And if you make those the right proportions, you can get very close to a very, very deep black. And there's loads of different options like that. And basically, what you need to look at is not only what like the opposite colors are. When you look at PG7, for instance, and look over here, completely opposite in a straight line, that will be quinacridone magenta-ish, thioindigo violet, which is very close to PV19, which is also quite close to carmine. You need to think about the mixing curves as well. And well, there will definitely never be like that. There won't be orange mixing that, so they will slightly lean towards what kind of violet-ish kind of tint are they getting. If you use a red that is, like I said, the crimson one, Pyrrole Crimson, which is maroon. Is Pyrrole Crimson even on this chart? Pyrrole red, Pyrrole orange, Pyrrole maroon. Well, let's say, for instance, quinacridone green and a maroon, quinacridone maroon, phthalo green and a quinacridone maroon. That will make a slightly dip towards that. If you add a little bit of blue, it will take that a little bit more towards that middle. So yeah. Anyway, I am going. I would like to thank everyone for joining me today. Please like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button to be the first one to be notified. I can't do this seriously. But yeah, you know, if you want to be notified when I get, I don't know, online or when I ever post a new video, just hit that notification button . And just sure to give me a follow. Thanks for joining, everyone. This thing is going to get new batteries. And I need to find my mouse to be here. It's been a great chat today, guys. I would like to thank everyone. And you'll unsubscribe from the channel just to make the difference. I don't think I would notice. I'm just waiting just one more second here. Just come on. Almost there. You can barely see it, can you? Yes. 19,300 followers and some change, which isn't displayed by that. I don't know why. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you for being kind and being you, everyone. And hopefully see you again next stream. Definitely next Wednesday will be the next live stream. I don't know if I'll definitely see you then. Hopefully I do. Maybe one before that, but probably not. I'm not quite sure yet. That's why you should hit that notification button to be, sure you won't miss the next live stream. Bye, guys.